Okay, are you ready for this one? This is Maranta, leuconeura var. kerchoveana Variegata. It's a crazy one, but it has a variation and it's also a different type of cultivar. And this particular one happens to be variegated. So if you see some of these leaves with the white kind of staining on it, this is a very interesting one. And this is a member of the prayer plant family. So if you recall prayer plants, which are in the Marantaceae family, they have like the ability to like put their leaves down and go up again. And I quite like them. I really do like prayer plants, but they happen to be a little bit more of a high maintenance plant. This particular one has been growing in my vertical swing garden for years. I can't even tell you how many years, maybe like 3-4 years, I'm not sure. And you'll see some of the new growth actually has these really beautiful like red wine staining on it. And that's super typical for Marantas or prayer plants. Some of the color actually comes down through the bottom of the leaf as well, but this particular plant doesn't have that kind of like reddish purple undersides, which is common for many prayer plants. You'll see that this one is kind of growing up right now because it's the daytime, but at night sometimes it actually drops its leaves. And I have it in a fairly well draining mix only because this is a plant that doesn't have, it has a hole in the bottom, but it doesn't have a little basin because it's in this like vertical swing garden. And I don't want it necessarily sitting in its own water, so sometimes I'll have a little basin to collect if I happen to overwater this plant. But it does like to actually maintain a little bit more water. So I could have a little less well-draining mix for this particular plant in this case. It would prefer high humidity, but I don't give it a tremendous amount of high humidity, but I also make sure that I'm not giving it too much light. This is a plant that would like to be on the low side of the medium light. Loves diffuse light. If you put too much intense light on this plant, it will kind of crisp up. And you probably will see some little brown marks on this plant, a lot at the tips, maybe some around the edging. And this could be, again, for so many different reasons. It could be inconsistent watering if it dries up a little bit. It could be from salt buildup within the soil, or if you're fertilizing it too much, or if you have hard mineral water. It could also be from just like a little lack of humidity and all that other kind of stuff. So you don't really know, and you kind of have to guess. I would assume that it's not necessarily from salt buildups in this case, because I do try to water these plants with distilled water, although not all the time. However, you know, it could be for various different reasons. If it's brown and crisp like this, you could kind of clip it off, but for this perspective, I think it's fine, and I still think that it's beautiful, even given some of its imperfections. And as far as fertilizer goes, you want something a little bit more gentle, maybe on a bi-weekly basis in the growing season. So I would say an organic fertilizer would be really great, or a well-balanced fertilizer like a 10-10-10 or 15-15-15, and then actually cut that in half. And as far as pests go, I have seen some thrips on this plant. I've gotten them under control. Thrips are kind of like a little insect that has a scraping mouth part that actually scrapes off the plant, and you could find out more about them on my YouTube channel and on my blog, and also more deeply in the Houseplant Masterclass, so I'm not going to belabor that issue. But if you want a nice, beautiful plant and you could be a little bit more tending to it and have a little bit more high maintenance plant in your home, then I think a Maranta would be a really good option.